Hello and welcome to this tutorial from Crawley College. This time we're going to be looking at Microsoft Excel just to give you a short introduction as to what it is and how you can use it. So I'll start off very simply. Excel is simply a glorified calculator, no more, no less. You may have seen spreadsheets and got worried about them. A lot of people do. I think you've got to be very good at maths to make things work properly. You don't need to, as long as you can think logically about what you need to do with the information. Excel will do the work for you if you point it in the right direction. If you look at what I've got on the screen, I've got some columns identified by letters at the top of the screen there, and down the left hand side I've got some numbers. Each of these letters and numbers identifies where one of these boxes is. It's called a reference, and each box is called a cell. So if I click in this box or cell here, I'm looking at cell C3. You can see it says so up in the top left corner of the screen. It tells me where I am. If I click over here, I'm in cell F9. Again, it's telling me in the top corner. Down here I'm in I20, over here I'm in B14. So I'll go back up to here, ready to start putting some information in. By the way, there are more than just a simple set of 26 columns. Although they're labelled alphabetically, they don't stop at Z. They go right on to column 16,384. Which is column XFD. They go A to Z, AA to AZ, BA to BZ, and so on. And down the page you've got 1,048,576 rows. So you're never going to run out of space to put your work. Each of these cells in that big expanse of space can contain numbers, text, dates, or calculations. I'm not going to put a calculation in at the moment because it's not quite at the point where I want to do that. Now you might wonder why your dates, as has happened here, on the worksheet sometimes show up as numbers. It's all to do with how Excel stores information. It's very easy to fix. If I click back on that, this is where I put the date in, I can go to the top of the screen up here where it says number. This is saying how do you want your numbers to be displayed. If I click the arrow on that, I can say I want this to show as short date, and now it's as I want it to be. And I can do that in any cell I want to. I can change my numbers to show as pound signs and all sorts of things. So let's put this all together and use it with some reasonable real life looking information. So I've got some further down the page. I'll just bring it onto the screen so you can see it. There we are. And as you can see, I've got sales figures, value of the vehicles sold of each of these makes on the left here across the 6 months for the first half of the year, as identified with the column headings. And I might want to add up at the bottom here what the value was of the vehicles sold in January across all the makes, same with all the other months, and on the right hand end I might want to total up all the Ford sales, same with the rows, so that's per make across the 6 months. Now with a calculator I would have to put in, I'll do this one here so it's a shorter calculation. I would type in 150,000 and then I type a plus sign, and then I type in 130,000 and type a plus sign, or press the plus button on the calculator and then repeat it for this one, and then press equals and then write down the answer, and then probably do it again to make sure I got it right the first time. I'm sure we've all done that. With a spreadsheet you don't need to do that. You go to where you want the result to be, which would be down here. I've clicked in the cell I want to use, and you refer to the boxes or cells that contain the numbers, and then if the numbers change, this automatically recalculates. You don't get that with a calculator, you'd have to do it again. and with the calculator I'd have to repeat the process for each of these columns across the page. With a spreadsheet I can do my first one, check it's correct, and then duplicate it across the page and do them all very quickly and be confident that they are correct. So as I said, you don't have to be good at maths, you just need to know what you want to do with the numbers. In this case it's simply adding them up. It might be multiply two together, a quantity and a price, to find a total, something like that. So let's see how that works. For the purposes of this demonstration I'm going to use this cell here, which is C30, and this one here, which is C32. I'll put them all down here so they're out of the way my total row I'm going to use in a moment. But I'm just simply going to show you how you do add, subtract, multiply and divide. As I said, it's very simple, very easy, but the key to this is you don't put numbers into your calculations, which sounds a bit strange if you're not used to it. All formulas start with an equal sign, otherwise it doesn't know what you're doing. In effect you're saying the content of this cell equals what you then set up. And you pick the first thing that you want to use. I could type C30 because that's where the number is, or I could just click on the cell and that goes into my formula, as you can see. Then I put in a plus sign because I want to add something to it, and I click on that something, which is this one here, C32. I've now finished my calculation, so I'm going to press enter. Now if I were to change one of those two numbers, this one or this one, watch what happens down here when I press enter again. Say that was 400,000. The result is currently 365. When I press enter it becomes 631. If I go back up I'll put another number in there, 135000, press enter, I've gone 366000 now. So it automatically recalculates should you change the numbers it's based on. And that's the same with all the others in terms of the way you build it and what happens. So a subtraction equals the first cell minus the second cell. Enter. And if appropriate it will give you a negative result. This number is bigger than that one, so that's what I've got. Let's go down one more to make some space, and this time I want to multiply, so I put an equals in and do the first cell and then an asterisk. Oops, I hit two keys, apologies. If you put an X in it treats it as text, so you can't do that as if you're writing or typing, you have to use the asterisk. And then you click on the cell that contains what you want to multiply by. And away we go. And the last one is a divide, so equals first one slash the second one. Slash character, imagine writing a fraction. Do you put a horizontal line between the 1 and the 2 when you write a half? Most people tend to put an angled line. That's the slash character. It's silly, but it helps you remember it, we hope. And there we go. And they will all change if any of these change, or any of the two I'm using change. As we saw the first one, they all will. Let's just say that's 55. All four of them changed. I'll put that back, I'll do an undo, and we're back to where we were. Now you may have noticed that when I did the multiplication we saw some hashes briefly across the screen, and then the column got wider to show the number. You can see that looks slightly wider than that. It's difficult to tell, but sometimes you end up with the hashes anyway and it doesn't get wider. You end up with something like that. I've gone way too far, so it's done it for lots of them. A lot of people see that and start getting very worried, thinking they've broken something. Nothing wrong with that at all. It simply means the column isn't wide enough to show the data. So if you go to the right hand edge of that column letter, on the line between it and the one to its right, you get this symbol on your mouse. You click and hold with that line and two arrows, drag sideways. When you let go, you've made the column wider. Go back the other way to make it narrow, but you could be here for a little while getting it just right. What you can do is put your mouse in the same place as if you're going to drag it and just double click, and it automatically fits the widest thing in the column. That saves you a load of time and effort. Right, I've got my calculations going on. So let's set those up across the page and down the page on the right hand side. Just going to be adding up, so in here I'm going to add these up, so on for the other columns. Similarly on the right here I'm going to total across that row and then do it down here as well. So I simply say, as we've just had demonstrated, equals the first one plus the second one plus the third one. You just keep going with as many as you need. When you've finished, you press enter. Similarly, going sideways, if I go here, I can say equals that one plus that one. I'm just clicking on the cells. That one plus that one plus that one plus that one. Which is all well and good, but that does seem a little tedious if I've got lots of them. It's very easy to get that wrong, and if I've got lots going down and across, I can very easily click on the wrong things and get the wrong results, but not really realise it because it's roughly what I worked it out in my head, and so on. I'll press enter because I've finished. All I have to do is check that the first one is right. So I'm going to click on this one here and look on the formula bar. B30 plus B31 and B32. Column B, 30, 31, 32. Yes, that's correct. What about this one? They're obviously all on row 30. I can see that, and it's using columns B, C, D, E, F and G, which is correct. So I'm happy that those two are doing the right thing. Now, when you're on a cell, you've got one or more selected, you've got this little blob in the corner. It's officially called the autofill handle. And when you put the mouse over it, rather than being a big fat cross like this, when you put the mouse on it, you got a little thin cross. Click and hold and drag down and let go one. You've copied that formula into the next row, and it's working on that row. Do it again, and you do the next row again. Let's look at the formula bar at the top again. Here's the first one. I've clicked on it, doing it on row 30. Let's click on the next one down on the right. That's doing it all on row 31, and again on row 32. So I only have to do it once and check it's right. I can then use that tool, the blob in the corner, to duplicate the formula over other cells. Can't do that with a calculator. Here it's even more useful. I've got 5 more columns to do. So I click on there. I've already checked it's correct. So I grab the blob in the corner, the autofill handle, drag across the page, let go. Now something's going on because all those numbers are different. And click away so you can see that clearly. If I look at the first one on the formula bar up at the top there, that's doing it all in column B. Let's look at the next one. That's doing it on column C. That's on column D, and so on all the way across right to column G. That's doing the right thing in the right place. The formulas, or cell references rather, that you use in the formulas are called relative references. So they change relative to where you started from when you copy them across or down the page, which then makes life so much easier when you're building repeats within a worksheet and you've got lots and lots of rows and columns. It really makes life very easy. I'm going to get rid of these down here so they're out of the way. Press my delete key having selected them. And what I might want to do is put pound signs on all these numbers while I'm here. So I'm going to select all of those, go up to here where the numbers are like I did for the dates, click on the arrow and choose currency. And I'll do the same with these, and currency, and same again with the ones on the right. Neat and tidy. I can worry about other things like bold and italic and alignment and borders and things later on, but at least I've got my basic data in there and we can see what's going on quite clearly. That's the end of this session. Thank you for listening.